Welcome to Which Side Do You Want, where we talk all things tennis. I'm your co-host, Ruffin Thornton, and I'll be joined by my good friend, James Skinner.
Unlike most tennis podcasts, we cover hot topics, from the lawns to the concrete, from the pros to the park, and all things in between. Welcome to Which Side Do You Want?
All right, welcome back, tennis and racket sport fans, to our podcast. You know, we've got a special edition for this episode where James and I are going to talk about the Olympics. So, Coach, what's up? How you been? What you been doing since the last time we were here?
Oh man, just finished it up. We wrapped up the Rising Stars Tennis Academy, and we concluded with a visit. We went to Lynchburg and visited the home of Dr. Robert Walter Whirlwind Johnson. And we were invited by his granddaughter, Jolynn, who's been on the show.
Right.
And the kids had a ball.
That's great.
And I just want to tell anybody within earshot of this podcast, if you are in or around the Lynchburg area, go to the home of Whirlwind Johnson and request to play tennis on that court. Also, look up the Whirlwind Johnson Foundation and donate money to this worthy cause. And folks in Lynchburg, you have an incredible historically significant tennis court right in your backyard.
Yeah.
You need to go out there and support it. You all need to donate money to it, help get that program off the ground. Let's turn that home into a museum, bring artifacts in from that incredible period of time where segregation prevailed, segregation ruled, but it did not prevail.
Yeah.
And tennis was still being able to play. And the kids got a kick out of the fact they played on the same tennis court that Arthur Ashe and Althea Gibson and many other young black tennis players and professionals and everyone has participated on. And so that was very significant to the kids. Got a big kick out of it. And so we hope people support the Whirlwind Johnson Foundation. You can go to their website and they'll tell you how you can donate and how you can participate, have events over there. I'm sure whatever it takes to help get that thing off the ground, it's well worth it.
Yeah, cool. Well, cool. Well, we're back here to talk about the Olympics.
Yeah.
But before we get into our Olympics thing, we kind of gotten off our normal schedule. So we normally have been talking about the tournaments on both on the men's and the women's side. So for the Olympics kind of throws a monkey wrench in that whole travel program.
Yeah.
For instance, the men, there are several tournaments. In fact, during the Olympics tournament, the City Open in DC, that was played the exact same week.
Sure.
Great event that you've gone to and I've gone to. We've taken kids both to that event. The Rogers Cup is starting today, or tomorrow, I should say. Cincinnati will be the following week.
Right.
Winston-Salem and the U.S. Open, all culminating in the U.S. Open. So the men are pretty much staying in North America. However, the women, they're all over the map. So they also started with the City Open in D.C., but they went to the ECE Ladies Hamburg Germany Open that in Germany. The Rogers Cup will be again tomorrow, but that will be in Toronto, Canada. So first that's U.S., Germany, and then Canada. Later in the month, you've got Barranquilla Open in Colombia.
Okay.
Good gracious. The Cincinnati Open, talk about jet lag from there, going from Colombia, South America to Cincinnati Open. Tennis in the Land right before, that's in Cleveland. Right before the U.S. Open. So, and there's one other in Monterrey, Mexico, all before you get back to the U.S.
Open.
For the U.S. Open. So that's a lot of globetrotting. The men are staying in North America. The women are going all over the place.
Yeah.
So ladies, make sure you got your passports. But let's talk about the Olympics. So I got a couple of fun facts. Normally we do this afterwards. But in our last podcast, we kind of talked about what were the criteria for getting into the Olympics.
Right.
So here's some interesting facts. Countries in the Olympics. So we talked about just how you could get in. You had to have rankings and have enough points and this, that, and the other. The full contingent of players that you could have, both men's and women's, was 8. So there were only 3 countries that actually fulfilled that. That was the United States, Germany, and France. Obviously, the host country gets a pass on most of that.
Right.
There's a couple of other things that a lot of people don't realize. We were talking about this. We know that tennis was dropped from the Olympic, sports back in.
It was after the.
It was actually back in 1924. But it wasn't for not what you think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was because they had a disagreement. The ITF or its counterpart at the time, and the governing body of world tennis at the time had a disagreement on how players were going to be defined in playing for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. I found that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a couple others. After 2 appearances, it was reinstated. So from 1924 to 1968, they reinstated the sport at first as a demonstration. Then we played it again. I don't understand this. After 1968, it was reinstated again or demoed again in 1984. And then it got its full reinstation in 1988 as a medal sport.
Okay.
And it's been that way ever since. So all of our records, all of our notable records, to include things like the Golden Slam,
right,
have been since 1988.
Gotcha.
And that's funny.
Yeah.
Do you have any notable things that you know of about past Olympic appearances?
Yeah, well, you just gave me a little information. I didn't know that they had the program had come back in 1968.
Yeah.
But tennis was and then you get caught up in that whole professional amateur thing too. And at that time, you had to have been amateur to play tennis. So most of your better players at that time were probably in the pro ranks and were ineligible to play. And, do you want to spend the money to bring, some low grade tennis players in there? Well, okay. And then people going to come to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. No facts on that, just that since tennis is, it kind of goes and follows the patterns, and there was an outcry. I remember in the 70s, there was a big outcry because there was no tennis, and that was, of course, coincide with the big tennis boom that took place. And
at least in the States.
Yeah, and that was probably the impetus for people to continue to look farther, and then they saw that how popular the sport had become and wanted to take advantage of that and maximize that. So we're happy. Whatever it took to get tennis back in the Olympics, we're happy about it, and we hope it stays around.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah,
absolutely, because it is a world. There's a world fascination, just like soccer is. It may not be as big anymore in the States, but worldwide, it's just as big and growing.
Yes.
And no offense to those pickleballers, we're not going to go there. We'll come back to that maybe on later on. So let's talk about the Olympics.
All
let's talk about what happened, and let's just focus on just the finalists, because we could be here for all eternity talking about some of the surprises in the Olympics. But let's just focus on the gold medalists or the gold medal matches. You have any disappointments or surprises? So I'll leave it to you. Which you want to talk about first?
Well, if you want, you giving it to me again, I appreciate that. But I will say, well, of course, we'll start with the men's singles. And I think we all know that Novak Djokovic can now add gold medal, Olympic gold medal to his accolades, to all of the things he's accomplished in this sport.
Right.
And that in and of itself, 24 Grand Slam titles. And now you can put a gold medal Olympics. So coming back to our original thoughts about Djokovic being the greatest player of all time, I think that kind of adds to that.
Yeah, they got
adds
squashed.
To his resume big time. And so I think that we have to look at him. I personally, I did not think he was going to win that match.
Neither did I. And I certainly wasn't pulling for him.
Yeah, I thought that gold medal was tailor made for Carlos Alcaraz to win. But Djokovic, he fought, man. He fought, and he stayed in there. And Alcaraz admitted that he had gotten a little nervous, and he seemed a little tight, but still, it was a long match, man. I mean,
but it was a great match.
It was a great match.
The points were excellent. I mean, you could see the youthful exuberance of Alcaraz, but you also saw the old Djokovic.
Mm-hmm.
You saw him be just as resolute. I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah.
The one thing that I did watch. Did you watch all of the match?
Yeah.
I watched all of the match as well, and Joker, he served really, really well.
Yeah, served
well. He picked his spots. He hit them. He had the high percentage.
Yep.
And, of course, the return. This was the big difference that he did not have in the Wimbledon final against Carlos. He was reading that serve big time.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he cut the court off. He stepped up on those returns. And Alcaraz, I think, tactically, he stayed too far back.
Yeah, and he started doing things that, I don't know if, we can always look back, but he started doing things that normally, I think, had he not been as tight, he wouldn't have done. He took a lot of chances. He took some shots. Normally we expect him to make the drop shots.
Right.
But sometimes he made them that they didn't really make sense. Yeah. And he just didn't seem to have his source about him.
Clarity of thought.
Yeah.
That's the way I think of it.
And even with that, 7-6, 7-6.
Right. It was a tight match.
I mean, it's, it was he still, I think, he didn't play as well as he could have, but he played well.
Yeah.
Djokovic played very well.
Of course. And, he brought his AA game.
And it was, to me, and whatever you think about Djokovic, and he is, people either, they like him, some people don't like him, some people, but his emotion after winning that goal was real.
Genuine.
That was real. And it just, what he's been through, and everybody has a story.
Right.
Okay. We can't judge people because we don't. His story is unique to tennis and the background and what, he had to go through, what was going on in Serbia, with the war and his family getting his father, and dedicating getting their family to safety, and how that, affect him, as a person. And so seeing him emotionally moved by that. I mean, even though he already had a bronze medal, but that wasn't enough.
No,
he wanted to get that goal. And so seeing him, and you never see him break down like that often. And that was, to me, just told something about him. And I was just like, well, I'm glad this guy won this, and I think you told me earlier he's talking about playing in Los Angeles.
Yeah, he mentioned, I was like, that's going to be a tough.
Okay.
I mean, he will definitely cement himself as the GOAT if he's able to come back at 41 and potentially win or play for a medal.
You know what?
That's going to be a long time.
For anybody else, I would say don't. But for Djokovic, you just don't know. I would never bet against this guy.
Yeah.
I would not bet against him. He can get himself together, and he keeps himself in excellent shape. He eats all the right things, and now he's got this. Seems like he's balanced. He's a family man, big time with his kids and all. And so, hey, good frame of mind. He's got money. He's got the best teams.
Right.
He might be there.
He might, but we'll see.
We'll see.
On a personal note, I'm trying to go to
Los Angeles.
I'm thinking about going to Los Angeles, if nothing else, just to see the tennis venue.
Yeah, just to go to the Olympics.
Yeah,
that's been on my bucket list for a long time.
I avoided it back in 1996 when it was in Atlanta.
Yeah, I was there, and I was there like a week before the Olympics, and had an opportunity, but didn't go.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is I've been to Stone Mountain, Georgia, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's where the Olympics were held in 1996 with the tennis venue.
All over. Yeah.
So let me just talk briefly about the women's finals then.
All right.
Qinwen Zhang. Can you say that was a big surprise? We all pegged or thought that it was going to be Iga's just swan song into an Olympic gold medal.
It's going to go just sweep through everybody.
And Qinwen did exactly what you have to do to beat Iga. Yep. You have to bring it to her. And she took it to her.
She did.
She served well. She played well, thumped everything, played with lots of bravado. And that carried on. And once you beat Iga in the semis, you knew she was going to win from the other player options, Donna Vecic, who ended up playing versus.
I was just like, that was when, as soon as she took out Swiatek the way she did, I'm like, okay, Quinn Jen is the gold medalist winner.
Absolutely.
And I knew Vekic wasn't going to put up no fight. No. And
I mean, she was a surprise to get that far where she took out. Do I want to say Marquetta? It wasn't Marquetta. It was the Wimbledon finalist.
Yeah.
But Krejcikova.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing that we can say is Donna took out, I'm sorry to say this, she took out your girl.
Yeah, she did.
But, Quinn Wynn definitely deserved to that was a big surprise gold medal for China.
Yeah, so. Their very first Olympic singles champion medalist.
And probably, we'll say here first, probably soon to be a Grand Slam winner because she's got the game.
She'll win a title. I really would be shocked or surprised if she didn't get a medal.
Yeah.
And she could get it in clay. She plays on all surfaces well. Mm-hmm. She's got that little hitch in her serve. It's all straight, but it works. Yeah. It worked for her. And so I'm not knocking it. But she ended Iga Swiatek's 3-year reign over Roland Garros, man. 3 years this woman had been beaten. And she got beat.
Yeah.
She got beat. And then in the finals, it was like a cakewalk, man. And she beat her, 2-3.
Like I said, you knew.
I knew. I said,
she was coming back with a vengeance.
Win this. Yeah, she's going to win this. She's going to win this gold medal and bring it back to China. Yeah. Yep. And, but yeah, she's that player that we always, and we talked about her early on when she was like a 19-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. Jumped on the scene. I was like, this young lady, man, she's going to be something. She can play.
Yeah.
And so now, hopefully, we'll see more things from her, helping to give that international flavor to tennis and a much needed shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go Li Na.
Yeah. Oh, you remember Li Na? Oh man, that's a whole nother podcast.
Absolutely. Because I would love to have been her husband back in the day when I saw her play down in Miami. But I digress.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the men's doubles finals.
Yeah.
Did you see any of that? Because that was based on the score, it looked like it was very exciting.
Well, for the men or the women?
For the men's.
Okay, yeah. For the men's, I saw the finals.
Okay.
I saw the match with Ebden and the two Australian players against
Piers and Ebden.
Yeah, Piers and Ebden. Against Rajiv Ram and Krajicek.
Yeah.
And it was a good match. I thought the Americans had it wrapped up.
Yeah, they
were up a set. They won the first set, and they were up 4-2 in the second. And it seemed like they were on their way. And you got two quality doubles players.
Right.
I mean, I just felt this one was in the bag.
Right.
But no one told the Australians.
No, of course not.
And they put up they rallied and fought, and then you could hear the crowd getting into it, and they started getting into it, and they just flipped the script on the Americans. And they well earned. They earned that. They took that gold medal.
And it was nice to see that the doubles experts win the medal.
Yes.
Versus we've seen in the past
a couple singles players,
teaming up and striking quote unquote gold. With lightning in a bottle almost.
Yeah.
So, but that, like you said, I thought that Krajicek and Ram had a really good shot once they got into it. They took out, unfortunately, the British duo.
Yeah.
But they ended Andy's career.
Murray. Yeah.
But they were clearly the better team.
Father Time ended Andy's career.
Absolutely. Father Time is some injuries.
Yeah, he ended that career. But they played. I felt like. And I just, once again, we talked about Rajiv Ram in the past. This guy, man, he's made doubles his thing, man, and he's good at it. And
lots of double specialists.
Yeah, lots of double specialists in this one. And of course, going back to Australia, and they were known for their doubles teams, and so this kind of brings back some of that old flavor from the past. And they played like I said, they played an inspired match, and they earned that gold medal.
Yeah,
and good for them. But the United States came out on top because we're silver medalists and we're the bronze medalists.
Oh yeah, and who saw that? That's one of my surprises.
Is the surprise, yeah. But Taylor Fritz and Tommy Paul. Yeah, come in, but they got a bronze medal, man.
And I'm glad for them. And they deserved it as well.
Yes, they earned it. They
played well. They served well.
Yep.
They took out, I forgot who they took out earlier in the tournament, but they played well. I mean, Tommy was a little tired because he had just lost the previous day to Carlos.
Yep.
So I was a little surprised that he did as well as they did.
Yeah, but they, got the bronze medal, and that I was happy for them. Yeah. And they were happy too.
Yeah.
They were also, and I think something about the Olympics, the ones who are, have to. You got to get that. You get that one person. If they don't get a gold medal, then they just consider it a loss. And then you have the other people who are just so happy
to medal,
and that they get that bronze, and they're just like,
right.
And that's to most of us,
that's
just
a great experience.
It's a great experience for me. Just being there.
Mm-hmm.
If you were blessed enough and talented enough to be on an Olympic team,
right?
And I always wonder, what does it feel like when, especially at the opening ceremonies, and they're coming on those barges,
right?
Going down the same river, and even though it was raining and everything,
it was still awesome.
You with this team in United States. Always, when we watch them, my chest get out a little higher, and they always come. We always come with a large contingent of people, and it's always just the whole thing of the Olympics and bringing all these nations together for sport.
Yeah.
Nothing else, sport and competition. Yeah.
The spirit of competition.
Yeah.
So I guess since you talked about the men's, I'll talk about the ladies.
Okay.
That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Because
but happy surprise,
absolutely.
Man.
So I put it out in our group text that Jasmine Paolini, at this point, with what she's accomplished,
is she having a year or what? Oh my God!
She's definitely going to be the player of the year.
Yeah.
So, she and her partner, they were getting beat down in that first set. That was a bit of a surprise in how overwhelmed they looked in that first set. But they put it together in the second set and came back and started pounding on Schneider and as well as Andreeva. They started handling the pace, started to play better, and just flipped the script. And again, we forget, even though Paolini is small in stature, she's got big game. She's got big forehand. She can handle herself on the backhand side.
Makes great decisions on the court.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she just moves around. And she and Irani, they're just like two little, salt and pepper shakers.
Right.
But they complement each other.
They do.
And they're very close. And I think she works with her and train. They train together and everything. And so it was great to see the two of them, two diminutive little tennis players out there scrapping. But
balling.
Yeah,
balling.
One of my wife's good friends, she calls Paolini Little Scrappy.
Little Scrappy. Well,
Little Scrappy. And
Little Scrappy definitely has been doing it.
Yes. So they I was happy that they won. And it's always good when you see somebody else come in there that, and she's having an incredible year on the courts. And I just hope she keeps it up. We've been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see her with this success and gold medal, man.
Yeah, gold medal.
Back to Italy.
It was a big surprise, but I'm happy to see it.
Yeah.
And with that said, her partner, Irani, she also she's in rarefied air. She's now won doubles the Golden Slam because she's won all slams
and a gold
medal in doubles. So
and Irani is close to 40 years old.
Yeah, she's in her late 30s.
30s, yeah. So she's been around for a while and
still hanging out there on the
still
singles.
out there battling. Yep, and it's great to see. I tell them I always keep playing as long as you can play, and as long as you want to be out there.
Yeah.
Yep. But and so they then it goes after that, of course, the mixed doubles.
Yeah, the mixed doubles. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to watch. But we do know one of the players that was in the finals was Siniakova.
Katerina Siniakova.
Playing with her doubles partner, Thomas Mach.
Is it Mashik? Mashik. Okay.
They won over the Chinese.
Yeah, the Czech team.
Over Wang and, I'm sorry,
Wang Zhengyu and Zhang Zhenji.
Yeah, never mind. We're going to butcher that name.
Somebody that I know it. But and that was, they, what can you say? They are mixed doubles. Siniakova, we just talked about this.
Right.
She's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Just on doubles alone.
Absolutely.
What hasn't she won in doubles?
And now that she's gotten at least one gold, I think she may have I think she and Krejcikova were defending gold medalists from the last games in Tokyo.
Yeah. So she she gets with a partner and they win.
And they win. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, just ask Coco.
I like to, man, what would happen if she and he Wei
were to play? That'd be unfair.
Together. Ooh, boy.
That'd be unfair.
That'd be like a tennis doubles juggernaut up in there. But anyway, yeah, so congratulations to the Czech team. Also, there's a little thing that apparently that Siniakova and Mashik are having a little relationship.
Oh,
so they have little doubles on the side as with the.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So apparently they don't talk about it though. They keep it under wraps, which is their business. That's what I think he said. This is our business.
This is their business.
But hey, they're making a love
connection.
That's right. Love
on the court.
Love is important in tennis for several reasons.
Absolutely.
But in any event, congratulations to the Czechs picking up those wins and also to the Chinese doubles.
Yeah, because they got silver.
Mm-hmm.
We may not be able to pronounce their names, but at least we can understand and tip our hats to them as silver medalists.
Yeah. So,
and with that said, I'd like to shout out to all of the racket sport competitions include badminton. Did you watch any
Yes, I watched badminton.
Badminton is just a different game at the Olympics.
Table tennis.
Well, we already know tennis.
But it's not ping pong.
Oh yeah, it ain't ping pong.
What you do in your house or in your backyard or in your den, that is ping pong.
Right.
These people play table tennis.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, that's the thing about the Olympics. You start watching sports that you really don't watch on a regular basis and you get into them.
Yeah.
And so for me, table tennis was one. Mm-hmm. I'm just amazed at how they play this game.
I know.
And it's just a totally different level. But I remember I watched the women's gold medal match. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even going to try to attempt to pronounce these ladies' names, but apparently one, the top player, both of these ladies are from China, but one is like the world champ, defending. She's young,
right?
Young. And the other one's one of those veterans,
right?
But it's just that you just see on that little table how they just play their game and the spin and the sight. It's just amazing. And I watch the ball and how it moves once it hits the table. And it's just amazing. And they can aim for the corner. Right. They aim for that little slither corner, and they can do that.
And they can hit it.
Skill level. Yeah.
It's a different level.
Yeah. So.
It's like you said, it's not the same game that we played.
No.
I mean,
we play ping pong. They play table tennis.
And you get a workout.
You get a serious workout,
especially when you start moving feet behind the table.
Oh, yeah.
To catch one of those slams, as we would call them.
That's it.
That's when you know you're serious.
Yeah, and they showed
serious.
Slow motion of the ball, and how quickly just the revolutions of that ball is amazing. And then when we go there, we go to badminton.
Badminton, and not only badminton, which again, different. That's not the same game we play in the backyard with our relatives. I'm like,
badminton is the fastest sport, and they just play it at this level.
For a little shuttlecock that barely goes anywhere.
They're hitting that thing.
They're hitting it very fast.
At hyper speed.
Yeah.
And so that's entertaining. It's entertaining to watch those sports.
And we also don't think about it, but this is the one sport that I didn't think about that the Americans did not have. This was the only Olympic sport that we did not have a team in. Handball.
Oh, handball.
Yeah,
team handball.
Team handball.
Yeah. And remember, I'm old enough to remember back in the day when I was in junior high, because there was no middle school then. They used to have we learned team handball.
Okay.
That was one of the sports, you played team handball.
Easy.
Yeah, and how you play it. But it's not as big here in the States.
No.
They do play it, but, we don't, it's not as big as it is around the world.
It's just as easy as soccer without having to have.
Yeah, you get to dribble a ball.
Right.
You can dribble it, kick it, throw it, pass it.
Yeah, it's just anywhere. It's just into a net.
So. Yeah. Well, the one sport, now you got team handball. The one that caught my attention that I've become a fan of now, rugby. Who knew?
Yeah.
I've never, up until this Olympics, I never really watched rugby match. I saw people play it, and I had some friends in school who played it, and they always thought, "Oh, it's great." And I was like, okay, just it's like football and soccer had a baby. And
Right.
It was rugby.
Rugby.
But then I watched the game, and it was exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, the skill level of the athletes, and I was just amazed. Wow. And it's not as long. It's a short game, it's kind of relatively short. So but the action is fast, nonstop. And I mean, these guys and ladies are taking hits with no padding, no anything. And
playing with broken bones and elbows.
Yes.
No offense to our American sports where you get a scratch and you're calling bloody murder. They literally pretty much murder you before they pull you off the field.
Well, I was just amazed at the game. I've become started watching, and the women are incredible, man.
Yeah.
So that was good too to watch. And the American women actually, they're a very strong team. They did very well. And then American men, not so much. But it was great to see it begin in the French when they won. They won the men's rugby, and it was like a huge celebration. Great way to get the Olympics started for the people of France.
Right.
And they get out and they did their dance.
I know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Olympics are cool.
Well, great. So we don't really have enough time to talk about everything that we wanted to. So let me just ask you this. What was your biggest disappointment of the tennis in the Olympics?
Biggest disappointment? Well, I think for one thing, you had a whole lot of players skip the Olympics. And the timing of it, also, there were a lot of injuries. A lot of people just opted out for various reasons. And everybody has their own reasons for opting out. So for me, it didn't have, usually you hope it would have the same feel as a Grand Slam tournament.
Right.
It just didn't have that for me.
It didn't. You're right.
It was kind of like, and so I felt like the sport, and maybe maybe there's no way to do this. I'm not sure, because the way the Olympics is set up, it's structured in between two Grand Slam tournaments for one thing, and players, especially if it's thrown on a different surface that they're not playing on, a lot of players are going to say, "Do I really want to risk that? And what are my chances of winning a clay court title?" So that kind of took away from it for me. That is that, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how that can be rectified, because just of the nature. It's only for every 4 years. So maybe every 4 years we just realize, okay, this is what we're going to be up against with tennis. I still like the concept and the idea of having tennis in the Olympics. Some people are saying, well, do we need that? Because now we have the we have the Davis Cup, and you have all these other, you have the World Cup and all of it, all these different international things, the Billie Jean King Cup. Do we really need the Olympics?
Yes.
I still say yes. I still say we definitely need the Olympics.
Right.
It's still exciting. It's still, to me, it should be a part of the Olympic game. But I think we need to figure out a way to put it in the sport, and to make it more, just make it have a little more, substance.
Sure.
And I don't, maybe that's the wrong word to use, but they have a little more so it's just not just some other sport.
Right.
It shouldn't be. It should be presented on a higher level. That's the only thing that was a disappointment. And you don't get to watch the whole thing unless you get that's the whole Peacock thing. I mean, you can watch it, through the streaming service,
right,
but then if you didn't watch it through the streaming service, you got to see a little intermittent, and they really didn't cover that much.
They did not cover that.
They forced you to get that Peacock.
Yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. Unless you, like you said, unless you had the full streaming package of Peacock, where you could watch all of the events as they were played live, or you could record them.
Right.
Even the ones that you could see that were, the Olympics were available, all of the major sports, in a time delay, and they only featured some matches.
Yeah.
I was not happy with the matches that were featured. Obviously, we're in America. They would feature American players, but just the American players, they weren't necessarily the most intriguing matches. No offense, but Christopher Eubanks had no business playing in the Olympics. No offense. Because we knew, just based on prior results, that he was not going to do well on the clay.
Clay is not his surface.
Right. And understood. Marcos Giron probably should not have played as well, even though they earned the right to be on the Olympic team, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But
then you could kind of
their results didn't really
yeah
present themselves as the best players for the sport.
And did they earn it, or did they get it through default? Because you had a lot of players just decided not to play.
Whether it's default or not, they still got a chance to represent. And Chris did play. He has represented the U.S. in Davis Cup,
and also
and Marcus Giron too.
Right. Yeah.
But that was my biggest disappointment. That's all that I really wish that NBC. So if you're watching NBC, that they had given all the sports their due. Don't just focus on little snippets, although I know it's a marketing ploy. Make it available to a lot more people.
Yeah.
That way you're more than likely to get more subscribers because they felt like there was an attachment to the sport that they're watching during this big event once every 4 years. So that was my thing.
Yeah. And I was thinking, when you were saying that, I was wondering, well, they'll probably say, well, you see tennis all the time. And the Olympics, there's sports that you will never see except in the Olympics. Right. So we would like to maybe showcase those. And if that's the reason, I kind of understand that too. But still, as tennis nerds, we want to see tennis.
We want to see tennis.
And I would say they could have done a package with the tennis channel and say, look, you cover all the tennis. All right, we'll peak cheap in that. That's not going to happen. But I was just saying, put it in a venue where we could just go there and just watch tennis.
Yeah.
Without, having to pay
an exorbitant amount of money.
Amount of money. But you always watch the YouTube highlights.
Yeah, I know.
Go watch YouTube. That's free.
Yeah, thank you for YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah.
So with that, that pretty much wraps it up. We talked a lot. We could, like I said, we could continue to talk, but we're going to keep it. We're going to keep our nerdiness to a minimum, and hopefully we'll see you next time. So again, continue to watch our channels. Continue to hit that like button down at the bottom. And as always, go out there, be active. It's the summertime. So remember to play and stay hydrated in the heat.
Yep.
And James, you got any parting words?
Have fun on the tennis courts. Yes. But I agree totally. Stay hydrate. The weather is hot and it's deceptively hot sometimes. And the court is always hotter than outside. And also put that sunscreen on.
Yes, definitely.
Even people of color, we must wear sunscreen
wear it all the
too,
time.
right? So it's just being healthy. Right.
So the next time we're up, we're going to be talking about the U.S. Open. All right. Until then, as we always say, go hit a tennis ball.